And welcome back, everybody, on this night of our focus on Elvis Presley. Sky Fox, appropriately enough, is at the Hard Rock Cafe. Maybe you've been inside there to see some of that wonderful Elvis memorabilia that's aboard the Hard Rock. All righty, welcome back, everybody. Tonight, the incredible follow-up to the story that has all of Cleveland talking. A doctor does claim that Elvis Presley is still alive, and he says he can prove it. Well, tonight we take him up on that challenge.
Yeah, he's already shared intimate secrets of Elvis's alleged fake death. Tonight, Fox 8 News reporter Suzanne Stratford tells us what evidence experts have to say now about the doctor's incredible claims.
That's right, because the doctor is so credible, he's easy to believe, and he does claim that Elvis is in fact his patient. He already told us about the magazines and the movies that seem to hold clues and support his claims. But we wanted real evidence, so we put his claims to the test.
Elvis Presley, rock legend. Legendary death. That's if he died.
Is Elvis Presley alive?
Absolutely. I would testify it in a court of law.
Dr. Donald Hinton's a Kansas City MD and board-certified psychiatrist who insists he's treating the king.
I would never treat anyone without seeing them eye to eye. And it is truly Elvis Aaron Presley. There's absolutely no doubt.
Some of the claims we've heard before. The medical examiner's report, purposely incomplete, insurance policies left uncashed, an unsigned will, and a body in a coffin that appeared to be sweating, possibly made of wax.
His hairline looked as if it had been a hairpiece, something glued on.
There were a lot of comments about, it just didn't look like Elvis Presley.
From the beginning, family members questioned the death. Dr. Hinton now confirms their suspicions.
Amazing grace. The colonel said that he had some powerful friends in Las Vegas that could pull it off.
Hinton says Elvis's manager, Colonel Tom Parker, arranged the hoax, that Elvis was given an injection to only appear dead.
The colonel told Elvis that in doing this, meaning in faking his death, that the colonel would make more money off of this than Elvis made in his entire lifetime. He felt that if he didn't escape, that he would literally be dead within a year.
What about now?
He suffers a lot of pain and he suffers a lot of depression.
Hinton claims there's proof. Where else?
I'm going to Graceland, Graceland, to Memphis, Tennessee. I'm going to Graceland.
The biggest clue that Elvis is still alive is right here at Graceland. In fact, they say it's written all over his tombstone.
His middle name is spelled A-R-O-N with one A.
The best-known conspiracy theory out there is the misspelling of Elvis's name on his grave. For the first time, Hinton explains why.
Because he didn't want his full real name on a grave that he was not in.
It's been the most well-kept secret.
Jerry Presley's a second cousin. He speaks of a snapshot, not a theory, but documented evidence that Elvis might be here.
I met him in Springfield, Missouri, and he had a very convincing story and photographs of Elvis Presley sitting at the gravesite.
The picture was taken 6 months after Elvis's death by a businessman. When the film was developed, it took his breath away.
My God, I had Elvis Presley sitting in the doorway, looking out at the fans walking past his grave.
Kodak determined that the film was not tampered with. Watch what happens when we scanned the photo onto our computer.
So, obviously, right there in front of your face.
Graceland firmly denies it's Elvis.
We firmly believe that there are plenty of friends and family members who believe that as well, that person who died on August 16th was Elvis.
The screen door has been replaced with a metal door, and the windows are now permanently closed. And there's more.
Elvis went to visit his friend Muhammad Ali.
This 1982 UPI press photo was taken when Muhammad Ali discovered he had Parkinson's disease.
When they weren't expecting any press, the picture was taken and Elvis closed his eyes.
UPI has no record of the photograph, but we confirmed it was printed in several newspapers, including the Cincinnati Post.
It was basically covered up by the estate.
Dr. Hinton claims the king co-authored this book to expose the truth.
For his own personal reasons, 2002 is the year that he has chosen to let the world know that he is still here.
The book is a collection of letters allegedly written by Elvis. We took them to Mary Kelly, a leading forensic document examiner and researcher.
These are supposed to be 5 original letters.
Mary compared the letters to this known writing, a published letter written to President Richard Nixon in 1972.
I examined each of the letters using the microscope. I then also did an intercomparison to ensure that you were looking at really only one writer.
Mary found strong similarities with the signature and the letters I and T.
The capital letter I resembles a 9. I actually phoned a colleague of mine in Tennessee to see if that was some class characteristic that was taught in a writing system in the South.
Other letters like the Y were different.
If you're going to go to the trouble of imitating someone's writing, why aren't you going to get it right? As of right now, I couldn't reach a conclusion. I couldn't say that they were the same writer, and I certainly couldn't say that they weren't the same writer.
I'll remember you.
In the book, Dr. Hinton claims to have a picture of Elvis now. It was allegedly taken in 1997 during a visit with Lisa Marie and her son Benji. We compared it to other photographs. The body and shoulders appear similar. Look at the jawline, the cheekbones and the eyes, even the nose. And the boy does appear to resemble this picture of Benji. We sent the picture to 3 top biometric labs in New York and Massachusetts. Biometric facial scans recently determined that this woman was the girl pictured in this National Geographic magazine years ago. They tried to scan our picture, but unfortunately it was too grainy.
You can tell that that is Elvis Aaron Presley.
Linda Felix Johnson's another alleged friend.
But he doesn't look the way we expect him to look.
Remember, we didn't age with him.
This is really for real. If he wishes that I take a lie detector test or submit to any type of examination, I would be more than happy to do that.
Lie detection is Al Sterwich's specialty.
It goes up in the crescendo.
As a certified audio stress analyst and a vice president for Diogenes Incorporated, Al has analyzed thousands of people. He tested Linda and Dr. Hinton for us.
I can say that within about a 98% degree of certainty, Dr. Hinton and Linda Felix Johnson were telling the truth.
These graphs represent Dr. Hinton's responses. Peaks, referred to as Christmas trees, represent truthfulness. On each question, Dr. Hinton appears to be honest.
Some of the questions I asked him, I said, is Elvis alive?
Was he truthful?
Yes.
Al asked Hinton if he wrote the book looking for money. His answer?
No, and he was very truthful on that.
After several hours of questioning, Al believes a lot more than just Hinton's sincerity.
Do you think he's alive?
Yes, I do.
Do you feel as though you'll be vindicated?
This is not a trick. This is not a hoax. It's just the absolute truth.
As for a comeback, the only one planned is coming back from the dead, although he does still sing.
That voice of his has not left. It is there, and it is beautiful.
He's so focused on his own religion and spirituality and what he feels he must do before he truly passes from this earth.
Now, of course, the only conclusive evidence would be DNA. Now, the doctor and the alleged Elvis have agreed to take a DNA test for us. We are in the process of gathering those samples. Also, our handwriting expert, Mary Kelly, says she will continue to pour through those letters because there are so many. She believes it will take her much longer than a week to determine whether or not it is, in fact, the same writer. So we'll be waiting on that. Also, if you would like more information on this, log on to our website. We have direct connections to 2 websites that will give you lots more information, including the website that Dr. Hinton has set up.
You know, and besides the DNA, the most conclusive evidence would be if they would agree to exhume the wax body, if it is indeed a wax body.
But they won't. That's the interesting question. I've had a lot of questions. People ask me, do you think he's alive? What have you seen? I can honestly say I've seen a lot of information on one side, perhaps, that he is alive, but absolutely nothing from the other side to prove he's dead.
And you say he travels. He could be watching us right now.
It's possible.
It's possible.
It's
All righty.
fascinating.
Thank you, Suzanne.
The Elvis Update tonight at 10.
Well, we listened to their claims, but we wanted scientific proof. And we got it. For the past 7 months, we've been gathering fingerprints and DNA samples from several people in several cities across the country, and even right here in Cleveland. We've had it all DNA tested, we've had it in laboratories, and now those results are coming in quickly. We also traveled back to Kansas City as a famous entertainer traveled there as well to step forward and say that the doctor is telling the truth and that Elvis is still alive.
Things have to be done, quote unquote, in the right way. He has indicated to us directly several times in the last month that he is taking care of business, doing the things that have to be done in order for it to be safe for him to prove himself.
Proof, scientific proof, exactly what we went after in Tonight at 10. The first part of our Elvis update for you. We will show you the country singer and much, much more.
Oh, I can't wait. We've been bugging you for months, right?
Suzanne,
everybody has been.
Suzanne, what do you know?
It's okay. We've worked hard and we have a lot to show you.
All right, tonight at 10 o'clock.
Right.
All of you call. Tonight's the night. Okay.
All
Thanks.
right.
Thanks.
And one of Elvis's biggest fans is Dick Goddard, right? Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Has proof that Elvis Presley is still alive.
He vowed that by the end of this year, Elvis would make the greatest comeback in the history of show business. Tonight, Fox 8 News reporter Suzanne Stratford is back with an update many of you have been waiting for.
Yes.
Many emails, many phone calls, many people like us wanting the truth. It is a Kansas City doctor who claims Elvis Presley is alive and well and that he's been treating him for more than 5 years. Well, we wanted more than just his word. We wanted hard evidence, evidence that the king lives or is truly dead.
2 DNA samples, 2 sets of fingerprints, one from a man claiming to be Elvis Presley, still alive in 2002. The other set confirmed as the king's.
We're caught in a trap. We had good results.
But first,
I would never treat anyone without seeing them eye to eye. And it is truly Elvis Aaron Presley. There's absolutely no doubt.
Last May, board-certified psychiatrist at MD, Dr. Donald Hinton, claimed that Elvis was alive and that he'd been treating him for 5.5 years. He said Elvis faked his death and was now living as his deceased twin brother, Jesse Guerin.
He said, "Doc, I was very ill. There were a lot of things going on, and I felt that if I didn't escape, I would literally be dead within a year." And he told the colonel that he wanted out. The colonel did it with the intent of making more money, and told Elvis that I will make more money off of this than you did in your whole lifetime.
You know your daddy's bound to die.
According to Hinton, a wax dummy was used in the coffin with a heavy air conditioning unit inside. So heavy, pallbearers struggled to carry it. Cousin Jerry Presley remembers the family talking about it after the funeral.
There were a lot of comments about, it just didn't look like Elvis Presley. It was always strange to me.
Then came this photograph taken 6 months after Elvis's death by a Graceland visitor. When the film was developed, it took his breath away.
My God, I had Elvis Presley sitting in the doorway, looking out at the fans walking past his grave.
Kodak determined that the film was not tampered with. Graceland denies it's Elvis, but has sealed off that door.
It's so obviously right there in front of your face.
Hinton published this book of letters, allegedly written by Elvis, now calling himself Jesse. We had the handwriting compared to this published letter written to Richard Nixon in 1972.
And I couldn't say that they were the same writer, and I certainly couldn't say that they weren't the same writer.
From the book, this picture is allegedly Elvis with his grandson Benji in 1996.
But he doesn't look the way we expect him to look.
Remember, we didn't age with him. The world only remembers him, like on the front of CD covers and in these old movies.
Linda Felix Johnson's another link in the circle of friends protecting Jesse. She and Dr. Hinton took lie detection tests and both passed.
I can say that within about a 98% degree of certainty, Dr. Hinton and Linda Felix Johnson were telling the truth.
It's been 7 months since we first came to Kansas City. At that time, Dr. Hinton told us that Elvis would be letting the world know he was still alive by the end of the year. Well, that deadline's approaching quickly, and there's still no sign of the king.
Or is there?
Would you please welcome Jeannie C. Riley.
I want to tell you all the story about a Hartford Valley widowed wife.
What does Jeannie C. Riley have to do with this?
I didn't believe Dr. Hinton's book. I thought, bless his heart, how deluded.
But Jeannie had a change of heart, and we were there as she traveled to Kansas City to drop a bombshell on stage.
Elvis A.R.O.N. Presley, not Elvis A.A.R.O.N. Presley like is on his gravestone. Elvis was too honest a man to put his real name on a grave that he wasn't in. He ain't in it.
Riley says that she knows for a fact Elvis is alive.
I could rattle off several of the top names in the music world that see him on a fairly regular basis and talk to him all the time. I'd have kept my neck in. I stuck it out tonight. There are people in Nashville right now laughing at me, saying I'm crazy. Well, I've got nothing to lose.
But Dr. Hinton, Linda, and Jerry Presley have plenty to lose, with seemingly nothing to gain. We confirmed that they haven't made any money off their book. All proceeds go toward publishing more books.
It's been very stressful.
We're working very hard to fulfill the things that he's asking us to do.
Especially Linda, the main go-between for Jesse and his friends.
I sit in the house in lockdown. I sit there and wait for the calls.
You sacrificed your life.
It's okay. It's really okay. But I want his safety. These people don't understand. This is a true story. This is real.
Our attempts to understand require proof, real hard evidence to support those claims.
Oh, baby, I'm tired of talking.
And to quote Elvis's #1 hit,
Grab your coat and let's start walking.
it's time for less conversation and a lot more action. So the question remains, is Elvis Presley still alive? Well, the answer most likely lies in the DNA samples that we have obtained. Samples that Jesse says will prove once and for all that he is Elvis. We will bring you those DNA results tomorrow night right here on Fox 8 News at 10 o'clock.
Tomorrow night, 10 o'clock here. Not going to miss that one.
A lot of people want him to be alive, that's for sure.
And the results have been pouring in for the last several days. I can honestly tell you, I just received the final results within the last several hours.
This is the DNA we've been waiting for. Tomorrow night
for
at 10.
7 months.
Find out what you
Tomorrow
found.
at 10.
Okay.
Okay, can't wait.
That's big.
Nice.
Well, the star of Jackass the movie is speaking.
No, nothing, no.
Because that's pretty bizarre. I mean, some of that stuff must come flashing by you now.
I try not to pay attention to any of that.
So is Nicolas Cage telling the truth? Is Elvis Presley dead or alive? Tonight, it is D-Day for DNA. We're back in 3 minutes with the results from the lab. Is this man named Jesse, in fact, Elvis Presley? 3 simple letters will reveal if he's telling the truth. Those letters are DNA.
Fox 8 News reporter Suzanne Stratford continues her report on the man who would be king. Some painstaking work for you here, Suzanne.
Those 3 letters were very, very hard to get to and to bring you this report tonight, but our viewers wanted it, we wanted it, so here it is. 25 years after his death, is Elvis Presley ready to make the comeback of all time? Well, a doctor who claims he's treating the king says yes, but we wanted scientific proof and so did you. So tonight, the long-awaited DNA test results are in.
He claims he's Elvis Presley, still alive in 2002. We wanted scientific proof. He gave us his DNA. The mystery began 7 months ago when Kansas City Dr. Donald Hinton stepped forward claiming Elvis Presley was his patient. He said Elvis faked his death and was living as his deceased twin brother, Jesse. Hinton published this book containing letters allegedly written by Elvis, now Jesse, and this picture, supposedly Elvis today.
It is absolutely Elvis Aaron Presley. This is not a trick. This is not a hoax. It's just the absolute truth.
If you're treating a patient, there has to be a medical record. For the first time, Dr. Hinton is sharing with us this medical file.
Visits with the patient and telephone contact with the patient.
With Jesse's permission, we reviewed the medical record, which documents 5.5 years of treatment. Jesse suffers from depression, chronic pain, and yes, he insists he's Elvis Presley.
They ask why is he doing it now, and it is for spiritual reasons. It's not to come back and make money. It's all for what this individual wants to do for his soul.
Each and every day becomes more stressful. He can't just come out. If he could have done that, he'd have done that years ago.
Linda Felix Johnson's another friend allegedly protecting the king. If Jesse isn't motivated by money, what's their motivation? The publisher confirmed neither Linda or Dr. Hinton have made any money off their book.
I want his safety. These people don't understand. This is a true story. This is real.
He is in the United States. He is in different places at different times. He is making his plans based on his spiritual beliefs.
Having heard the claims before, we wanted to meet Jesse in person. He said not yet, so we sent him a police DNA test kit and fingerprint cards. The DNA saliva swab came back first and was collected by forensic scientist Tony Tambasco.
The swab was extracted. It was found to contain a large amount of DNA. The DNA is in fact from a male.
Next, we took envelopes from the letters allegedly written by Elvis to Dr. Hinton. Unbeknownst to the doctor, we had them tested for DNA.
16, 16, 16, 67, 67, 67, and so on down the line.
The DNA on the envelopes matched the DNA from the cheek swab.
There would be a complete profile that we would be able to attribute to a single individual.
We needed something confirmed as Elvis Presley's to compare DNA, like this sweaty scarf certified and autographed by the king.
Really came up with no DNA that was worth anything at all.
The DNA was too degraded.
DNA, as it leaves the body, will maintain its integrity for a long time, but yeah, it will break down.
Recently, there's been a lot of talk about Elvis's hair. In fact, a big jar of it was auctioned off for more than $100,000. A private collector in Cleveland said we could use his hair sample for DNA testing, but whether it's this sample or that jar, none of it is suitable because it's all cut hair.
Without the root, the only thing we could really do with the DNA would be called mitochondrial DNA. The thing we would need to compare that mitochondrial DNA would be his mother, because his mother would have passed that DNA to him.
But Elvis would pass his DNA to his child. A spokesperson for Lisa Marie Presley refused our request for DNA.
Did you know Elvis? Yeah, I knew Elvis.
He's not a relative, but Nashville entertainer Jimmy Velvet was a close friend.
Faking his death situation was a rumor from the beginning, so of course, if you loved Elvis, you would have hoped that was the case rather than him being dead. So yeah, I wanted to believe that, but I never did.
Jimmy let us test items from a Presley hospital visit December 20th, 1967.
He threw a fit at Graceland one time because the car wouldn't start, and he jumped up on the hood and kicked his foot through the windshield and cut his leg.
We sent part of a blood stain to the lab.
That stain analysis failed to give us a complete profile. The DNA is from a man and a woman.
A man and a woman, but neither matches Jesse's DNA profile.
Where that DNA came from on the genes is anybody's guess. It could simply be that stain, as well as any contact with it for however it's been stored over the last 35 years.
Fingerprints from Jesse were smeared, and portions that were readable didn't match this Elvis fingerprint card from 1970.
It's now or never.
Finally, we learned of a Memphis doctor with copies of Elvis's medical records and even tissue samples. Bill Beanie met the doctor in 1996 and convinced him to have the tissue samples tested for DNA.
Doctor was a super nice fellow. He asked that his name be kept out of it because he has a large clinic in Memphis. He didn't want any controversy that involved him.
The doctor inherited the medical records and tissue samples from his friend, pathologist Dr. Harold Sexton. Sexton had handled 2 liver biopsies for Elvis when he was tested for hepatitis in '73 and '75. Sexton also worked on the autopsy tissues.
To protect himself, Dr. Sexton kept copies of everything he did.
For fear of being sued, Sexton saved the tissue slides from both the biopsies and the autopsy.
So I said, how do we know these are Elvis samples? The doctor went to the medical records, which have the heading of the Baptist Hospital on them.
The tissue slides are clearly documented in the medical records. The doctor agreed to release them for DNA testing. We wondered if either sample would match Jesse's DNA.
We did the tests on Jesse, and our results turned out to be a different type than liver or the autopsy samples. That means that they have come from a different individual.
Not only was Jesse's DNA different, but researcher Alice Newman found something startling.
I got a different DNA type from the 1975 biopsy sample and the autopsy specimen. All 3 samples appear to be from different individuals because each one of them has a different DNA type.
Elvis's liver tissue is different than Elvis's autopsy tissue. Bill Beanie's not surprised. His lab ran the original tests with the same results.
The only conclusion I could come to is that Jesse is not Elvis Presley. Elvis is still out there somewhere.
But Dr. Donald Hinton is standing by his story.
He has not indicated to myself or any of his other friends that he does not intend to follow through with his plan to prove himself by the end of the year, to let the world know that he is still here.
What happens if January 1st comes and there's still no Elvis?
If nothing happens, it would be because it was prevented from happening.
Elvis has left the building.
Okay, so how could there possibly be 3 different sets of DNA? That is a question we have now put to the Tennessee Attorney General's office and the Shelby County District Attorney. Both say they are looking into our findings. As for Dr. Hinton, we feel that we've given him every opportunity to prove his story, and he still does stand by his story. The only real proof, of course, is for Jesse to come forward and prove it if he is Elvis, or if Lisa Marie would provide us with her DNA. We will keep you posted as the saga now continues.
You have more of a mystery now than you did when you started. Where in the world do you go from here?
We go to Tennessee. We need to find out what exactly is going on with those 2 sets of tissue samples. We need to know. So we're going to keep pursuing this, keep investigating.
This is very confusing indeed. And it'd be interesting to find out what you think now, quickly.
We were looking for a clear-cut answer. Our viewers were looking for it, and the Pandora's box just opened wide.
Wow. We look forward to
Thanks,
it. And
Susan.
it's really something.
Thank you, Suzanne. Is the world about to welcome its first clone?
Files from 3 separate people. We have informed the Tennessee Attorney General's office and the Shelby County District Attorney. Both say they are looking into it because, at a minimum, the autopsy tissue should match the liver biopsy tissue, and they don't match, and of course Jesse doesn't match either one either.
So does that mean now the question is, where is he, or who's in the grave, or what?
That's the question. That's a very good question. That is the question.
But nothing matched Jesse's. We don't have anything
at this point,
believe
no.
that matched this guy.
At this point, that's correct, and we feel like we've given Dr. Hinton time to prove this. He says Jesse will prove himself, so we're waiting. If you know, we need Lisa Marie, we need Jesse, or we need Graceland to cooperate. Those are the 3 things we're looking for right now.
Well, if Jesse is coming back before January 1st, he's got about a month, so
time's ticking.
We'll see. Thank you, Suzanne.
You're
very
welcome.
interesting. Yeah. All right. How do you get from Elvis to Dick Goddard?
Dick.
Elvis, Aaron Presley, joining us now, Fox 8 News reporter Suzanne Stratford. Suzanne.
Well, Wilma, as you know, we received so many emails and so many phone calls, we had to bring you this update. This was no ordinary doctor. He was credible, successful, and made these extraordinary claims. He said Elvis Presley was still alive and that he would be coming out. And because of pending investigations, the doctor could not go on camera with us at this time, but he did work with us in updating this story, showing us new, startling turns in this case.
If you're looking for trouble, you came to the right place.
Life made him famous. Death made him immortal.
I'm only made out of flesh, blood, and bone.
Many claim he's still alive. A Kansas City doctor substantiated those claims.
I would never treat anyone without seeing them eye to eye. And it is truly Elvis Aaron Presley. There's absolutely no doubt.
When we first met Dr. Donald Hinton, he was a successful board-certified psychiatrist and medical doctor. 2 years later, his career is ruined.
It's been very stressful.
Stressful because of countless investigations.
There are people trying a lot of different things to discredit me.
The scrutiny started after Dr. Hinton announced he was treating a patient who claimed he was Elvis Presley. The man used Elvis's deceased twin brother's name, Jesse Presley. They published a book, The Truth About Elvis Aaron Presley in his own words. In that book, Jesse said he faked his death for health reasons and his family's safety. He promised to come forward.
He has, as of this date, he has not indicated to myself or any of his other friends that he does not intend to follow through with his plan to prove himself by the end of the year, to let the world know that he is still here.
The year came and went with no Elvis or Jesse. Instead, Dr. Hinton rang in the new year with the Missouri Attorney General's office. A complaint was filed with the AG. Dr. Hinton, his assistant Linda Felix Johnson, and Elvis's second cousin Jerry Presley were accused of fraud. The complainant said various gifts, like Bibles, were sent to Jesse through Hinton's website, that Hinton actually kept them. An investigation cleared the trio of any wrongdoing. All of the presents that were sent to Jesse went to Jesse.
We understand the skepticism.
We submitted a public information request and got this copy of the Missouri Attorney General's report. But inside the envelope, the documents raise more questions than answers.
Take a look at this letter Jesse sent to the Missouri Attorney General. He writes, "Dear Sir, Dr. Hinton was not involved in any conspiracy. These are all good people who, because of their love for me, got caught up in this mess. If I continue to expose myself like I did in the book, I will be eliminated very easily."
If a right-handed person, you see, had a tilt or slant.
That letter was reviewed by an international graphologist, Shirley Mason. Her analysis is part of the Attorney General's report.
That handwriting remains constant. It's as exact as a long math problem.
Shirley's analyzed handwriting for 23 years, 10 with the Kansas City, Missouri Bureau of Investigations.
Not only did I work on cases of forgery, but on criminality cases. My work stands up in court as concrete evidence.
These are supposed to be 5 original letters.
2 years ago, we hired forensic document examiner Mary Kelly to review Jesse's letters. She compared them to a letter written by Elvis in 1972 to Richard Nixon. After extensive testing, her results were inconclusive.
I couldn't say that they were the same writer, and I certainly couldn't say that they weren't the same writer.
That was forensic science. In graphology, Shirley's results go a step further.
Yes, it's that same pattern. Unmistakably.
Graphologists determine a person's psychological, social, occupational, and medical attributes from the configuration of their letters, their lines, and paragraphs on a page. It's more personality focused. In the AG's report, Shirley concluded that Jesse is Elvis.
The same person wrote everything I have seen, and I didn't know that it was Elvis Presley.
But graphology is not universally accepted.
No, the handwriting does not lie.
Shirley points out, though, it is widely used in Europe, the FBI, and in big business.
No one else can write in the same pattern as someone else, no matter how clever.
What does Graceland make of all of this? Well, we wanted to talk to Elvis Presley Enterprises, that's the corporation that runs Graceland, but they sent us this letter. They write, "The book is so completely ridiculous that we will not dignify it with participation in your story. But thank you for offering us the opportunity." But someone else did call, Jesse himself. He contacted me asking for our help.
"Hi, we can't come to the phone right now. Leave a message and we'll call you back."
Okay, so tonight at 10, we will play those actual messages that Jesse left for me, and we'll have more on the ongoing investigations. Plus, what about Dr. Hinton? Is he still even a doctor? Tonight at 10, we'll tell you all about that and more.
All right, okay.
DNA, the fingerprints. Tonight, Fox 8 News reporter Suzanne Stratford has the surprising update.
It started with a book. Kansas City medical doctor and certified psychiatrist Dr. Donald Hinton co-authored The Truth About Elvis Aaron Presley in his own words. His patient claimed he was Elvis, said he faked his death for health reasons, and went by the name of Elvis's deceased twin brother, Jesse Presley.
I would testify it in a court of law. It is the absolute truth.
In the book, Jesse thanked Dr. Hinton for all the help keeping him healthy.
As he grew older and developed arthritis from his grueling performance stints and all of these other things, he really struggles with pain.
But how that pain was managed landed Dr. Hinton in trouble with the Drug Enforcement Administration and Missouri State Board of Healing Arts.
It's been very stressful.
Dr. Hinton prescribed large amounts of the painkiller hydrocodone to his patients. 34,000 pills from 1997 to 2000. That's 5 times the recommended dosage. Dr. Hinton surrendered his ability to prescribe medication and was given 5 years probation.
Everybody is in a hurry to discredit this doctor, myself, and his friends as being crazy, which I'm not, being on drugs, which I'm not.
After we first met Dr. Hinton, Jesse reached out to me by phone. Here's one of many very strange messages. We agreed to travel anywhere in the world to meet with Jesse so he could substantiate these extraordinary claims. It hasn't happened yet. He says the people paid to take care of him won't let him come out. But we did meet with St. Louis businessman Bill Beanie. Beanie has what's thought to be the only authentic Elvis DNA. He got it from a Memphis doctor.
He has a large clinic in Memphis. He's under the shadow of Graceland, and he didn't want any controversy that involved him.
Medical records and tissue samples taken by pathologist Dr. Harold Sexton were sent to a lab.
To protect himself, Dr. Sexton kept copies of everything he did.
A 1975 liver biopsy was compared to an autopsy tissue sample.
As I said, how do we know these are Elvis samples? The doctor went to the medical records, which have the heading of the Baptist hospital on them, and there they referred to these slides.
Elvis's DNA from the biopsy did not match the tissue sample from his autopsy. Beanie and the doctor arrived at a startling conclusion.
I can't argue with science. Elvis was not in the casket.
Beanie's friends formed the Presley Commission. They took their evidence to Memphis and tried to get the case reopened. Both the local police and Tennessee Attorney General's office refused. Lisa Marie also respectfully refused our request for DNA. And a spokesperson from Elvis Presley Enterprises writes, "The book is so completely ridiculous that we will not dignify it with participation in your story. But thank you for offering us the opportunity."
If Elvis is out there and had reasons for doing what he did, then that truth should be known. If it was a fact that Elvis Presley died, then that truth should be known.
The Missouri Attorney General's office is investigating. In their files, a report by an international graphologist. Graphology is used in Europe and the FBI, but not everywhere. Still, in the AG's report, she found Jesse's handwriting is consistent with Elvis.
The same person wrote everything I have seen.
It was not his prints.
Latent print examiner Dennis Knuckles processed dozens of Jesse's letters.
If I get a matching fingerprint, usually the handwriting matches and everything else matches. So something strange is going on in this case.
Although there's no investigation in Memphis, there is a fraud and forgery investigation underway. Dr. Hinton's fully cooperating. The gifts he received from Jesse, alleged to be Elvis's, like cufflinks from Anne Margaret, a gold tooth, and pajamas from Muhammad Ali, are now evidence. Dr. Hinton passed our lie detector test and passed a recently administered psychological exam. He's still a practicing physician, trying to get his life and his reputation back on track.
There are people trying a lot of different things to discredit me.
Because of the ongoing investigations, Hinton could not participate in this story, but he did send me this email. It says, "I treated a real live person for almost 6 years. He is the man pictured in the book. I treated Jesse to the best of my ability under extremely unusual circumstances, but I have paid an unimaginable price for doing so." Now, Dr. Hinton's currently taking courses to regain his ability to prescribe medication. Some have said maybe it was a drug ring. Well, the DEA investigated that and did not find that to be the case. As for Memphis, well, we also tried to get authorities there to investigate the mismatched DNA, but they refused. And as for Jesse, well, as you know, we are trying to track him down. We'd like to talk to him, and there are some authorities out there who would like to talk to him, too.
And maybe one day it'll happen.
Yeah. Let's hope. One day soon.
All right, Suzanne, thank you for that.
Well, ahead at 10 for you, he came forward telling the world Elvis Presley was alive. 6 years later, we check back with a doctor who says his life will never be the same.
And that he was treating him.
I told the truth then, and I don't have any regrets about that.
Where is the doctor, and does he still claim to treat Elvis? Hear what he has to say 6 years later.
They never. Is Elvis Presley alive?
Absolutely, I would testify it in a court of law.
Coming up, 6 years after he claimed he was treating Elvis Presley, we tracked down the doctor to find out where he is today.
And death by deodorant.
Evidence, and the woman who claims she is the king's half-sister, and that Elvis is still alive. But whatever happened to the doctor who started all of this? Fox 8 Suzanne Stratford finds out for us.
What's it like coming back here?
It's painful to think about it again.
Kansas City psychiatrist Dr. Donald Hinton was summoned back to Memphis to meet with attorneys.
A lot of mixed emotions. Mostly, I don't want to be here.
The attorneys represent a woman named Eliza who claims she's Elvis Presley's half-sister. Lab reports suggest that her DNA not only matches the Presley family, but also matches a man who claimed he was Elvis back in 2002. And his DNA matches both sides of the Elvis family tree. The man, who calls himself Jesse after Elvis's deceased twin brother, was Dr. Hinton's patient back in 2002.
Is Elvis Presley alive?
Absolutely, I would testify it in a court of law.
In 2002, Jesse claimed he was Elvis and that he would prove it to the world right here at Graceland on the 25th anniversary of his death. But that day came and went with no Jesse and no Elvis. What was it like for you when he didn't come out?
It was very, very difficult.
But Dr. Hinton doesn't blame Jesse.
I mean, he mentioned specifically people by name who run this enterprise that they have said to him that, you know, you're never coming out. He has talked about how much money they make every month and how much money they were going to make in August of 2002. And he told me, he said, son, it's all about the money.
Attorney Bill Bradley represents Elvis Presley Enterprises.
Our position is that that's just nonsense.
Dr. Hinton still stands by his story, even though his reputation's been tarnished by it.
People have called you crazy. People have called you delusional. People have said you made this up. People have said you were dealing drugs.
No, none of that is true. Yeah, I'm still a physician in good standing with the state of Missouri, fully practicing. And the Jesse thing is what it was. I told the truth then, and I don't have any regrets about that.
Hinton no longer treats Jesse or speaks to him directly.
It's a relief to not be his physician anymore, but it's just still very sad.
Dr. Hinton stopped seeing Jesse after several investigations in 2003. The first, by the Missouri Attorney General's office, cleared him of any wrongdoing. But the Missouri State Board of Healing Arts made him temporarily surrender his DEA number or license to prescribe certain medications because of the various pain pills given to Jesse.
It hurt me to know that my children were hearing these things that weren't true.
Hinton worked hard to get his life and career back on track. Then he learned of the lawsuit filed by Eliza in Memphis. It surrounds that DNA Jesse gave us back then, when Hinton heard a judge had reopened the estate.
I think I was numb. I just was in shock because I had put it behind me.
Dr. Hinton hopes to one day be vindicated and prays his former patient is doing well. And he dreams that the current court case will finally set the record straight.
He gave the world so much of himself that he deserves to be happy.
In Cleveland, Suzanne Stratford, Fox 8 News.
To learn more about the doctor, the DNA test, and the woman who claims she is Elvis Presley's half-sister, go to myfoxcleveland.com, click on News. It was one of the most talked about stories in Cleveland history.
6 years ago, a doctor claimed Elvis Presley was still alive and that he was treating him. Fox 8 Suzanne Stratford joining us with developments tonight.
It's like deja vu all over again. Here we go. The man claiming to be Elvis Presley said he wanted to come out and prove to the world he was still alive, but he never did. Well, now new DNA evidence has led to a landmark court case in Tennessee, and this man's DNA is in the mix of it all. What's this all about? Well, here's how it all went down. Elvis Presley rattled the world with his rock and roll as seen in the Comeback special. And 25 years after his death, a Kansas City doctor got everyone shaken again.
Is Elvis Presley alive?
Absolutely. I would never treat anyone without seeing them eye to eye. And it is truly Elvis Aaron Presley.
That was 2002, when we first met Dr. Donald Hinton in Missouri. The board-certified psychiatrist claimed that Elvis was still alive and his patient.
Welcome to my world.
Dr. Hinton passed a lie detector test and showed us presents from his patient, like cufflinks he said Anne Margaret gave Elvis after filming Viva Las Vegas.
Well, then I'd like you to check my motor. It whistles.
I don't blame it.
Hinton published this book at his patient's request. Letters allegedly written by Elvis, now using the name of Elvis's deceased twin brother, Jesse Garon Presley.
I'm so lonesome.
Jesse claims he faked his death with the help of his manager, Colonel Tom Parker.
The Colonel told Elvis, in faking his death, that the Colonel would make more money off of this than Elvis made in his entire lifetime.
Elvis Presley Enterprises continues to grow, earning $49 million in 2007 alone.
We're caught in a trap.
The Colonel did it for the money,
I can't walk out.
but Elvis did it because he said, I just had to get away.
Perhaps to escape an unhealthy lifestyle and threats against his family.
So a lot of his motivation was for his own physical safety.
So why come back?
He's so focused on his own religion and spirituality and what he feels he must do before he truly passes from this earth.
Back then and still today, Jesse claims that the proof that he is Elvis and still alive is all around us. From the misspelling of his name at Graceland to the various books and publications and movies released over the years.
I'm home.
Finding Graceland, produced by Priscilla Presley, is all about Elvis being alive.
She does know the truth. She's known for a very long time.
Is that why the King's name is misspelled on his tombstone? Elvis's middle name Aaron was spelled with one A, but here there are clearly two.
Because he didn't want his full real name on a grave that he was not in.
Cousins at the funeral say the body looked like wax.
His hairline looked as if it had been hairpiece, something glued on.
There were a lot of comments about, it just didn't look like Elvis Presley.
Also curious, 6 months after the death, this picture was taken and certified by Kodak.
My God, I had Elvis Presley sitting in the doorway, looking out at the fans walking past his grave.
So what does he look like now? Hinton claims this is Elvis during a visit with Lisa Marie and her son Benji.
And he doesn't look like people expect him to look because he hasn't aged in front of us.
Here's the photo side by side with other photographs of Elvis. And here's a picture of Benji. What do you think? Graceland says no way.
We firmly believe that person who died on August 16th was Elvis.
Then who is Jesse? Determined to find out, we took the letters to Mary Kelly, a forensic document examiner. She compared them to this published letter written by Elvis in 1972.
But I couldn't say that they were the same writer, and I certainly couldn't say that they weren't the same writer.
We asked to meet Jesse, but it never happened. So with the help of a forensic scientist, Tony Tambasco, we sent him a DNA kit. We compared that DNA to several envelopes sent by Jesse.
There would be a complete profile that we would be able to attribute to a single individual.
We requested DNA from Lisa Marie, but it was denied. It was time to track down our own DNA. The search started with what else? A sweaty scarf. Tony swabbed the scarf, but the DNA was too degraded.
DNA, as it leaves the body, will maintain its integrity for a long time, but yeah, it will break down.
Did you know Elvis? Yeah, I knew Elvis.
That's when we met Nashville entertainer and friend Jimmy Velvet, who had a pair of blood-stained jeans.
He threw a fit at Graceland one time because the car wouldn't start, and he jumped up on the hood and kicked his foot through the windshield and cut his leg.
We tested the blood stain, but the results returned with multiple DNA profiles. Possible contamination from people touching it over the years, and neither matched Jesse's DNA.
Where that DNA came from on the jeans is anybody's guess.
Finally, we learned of businessman Bill Beanie. He had medical records from a Memphis doctor that contained tissue samples from 2 liver biopsies and the autopsy. Would they match Jesse? At the lab, they discovered something startling.
All 3 samples appear to be from different individuals because each one of them has a different DNA type.
Elvis's liver tissue sample is different than Elvis's autopsy tissue sample, and neither matches Jesse.
Is over.
Or so we thought. 6 years later, Jesse's DNA has led to a landmark lawsuit in Memphis, Tennessee, filed by a woman who says not only is Jesse Elvis, but she's his half-sister.
Do you believe that Jesse is Elvis?
He has to be. There's no two ways about it. You can't fake the DNA.
All right, well, did the DNA from Jesse sent to us in 2002 match Eliza? We know it led to a landmark lawsuit in Memphis, Tennessee. Tomorrow night at 10, you will hear her story and see firsthand what she and her attorney call irrefutable proof that not only is she Elvis Presley's half-sister, but she says he's still alive. It's in court. It's in the courts right now, and you will see all of it.
You know, you hear this
10.
stuff, and you kind of think maybe this is a little crazy, and then you see pictures, and DNA's not right, and then you're like, well, what is going on here?
I feel like Alice in Wonderland. I fell down the rabbit hole 6 years ago, and I'm still there. You know, still working my way through it.
It does plant a seed in your mind.
It does.
All right, tomorrow night at 10,
right.
you'll be back. Thank you, Suzanne.
Ready, here we go. 6 years after a doctor claimed he was treating Elvis Presley in 2002, could new DNA evidence finally prove that he's alive?
Fox 8 Suzanne Stratford joins us with this new DNA evidence and the woman who claims she's Elvis's half-sister.
That is all true. We spoke to this woman exclusively. She spoke to Fox 8 after she says DNA we received from the man claiming he's Elvis matched her own DNA. And she says DNA from Elvis's family members also matches. So is Elvis alive, and is she really his half-sister? You decide.
Oh, I wish I was in a land of cotton.
It was the first program beamed around the world by satellite.
I had a next-door neighbor. I went over to her house. The satellite one from Hawaii, she was there watching it.
But 11-year-old Eliza could have cared less.
I was like, why are people still watching him now? And I remember she gave me this look like, are you insane? We're talking about Elvis Presley here.
Several years later, as fans said goodbye to the king, Eliza learned she was adopted. She met her birth mother and wanted to meet her biological dad.
She gave me his name. I tracked him down.
In Memphis, Tennessee. But sadly, the man said he didn't know her mother.
And he has denied it from day one.
She wondered, if he wasn't her father, then who was? Eliza's husband had a theory after seeing these pictures of Elvis as a child next to photos of their own children.
He looked at the picture, looked at me, and was like, I'm telling you, you're related to the man.
Sure, her mother grew up near Graceland, and yes, she spent time with Elvis as documented in this newspaper clipping, but realistically...
And I remember going, you're crazy.
She dismissed the thought until a cancer scare.
If something were to happen to me tomorrow, I still wouldn't know the truth.
Well, a hard-headed woman, soft-hearted man.
The only way to know was DNA. Eliza tells us she collected samples from Elvis's family. Donna Presley, a first cousin on his father's side, and Brenda Smith, a first cousin on his mother's side. The results stunned her. According to the lab report, Eliza is biologically related to Donna Presley. Interesting, but she needed Elvis's DNA to really prove he was her dad.
I would never treat anyone without seeing them eye to eye. And it is truly Elvis Aaron Presley. There's
In 2002, we interviewed Kansas City psychiatrist Dr. Donald Hinton. He claimed Elvis was his patient, that he faked his death, and went by the name of his deceased twin brother Jesse. Jesse, Dr. Hinton's patient, sent us his DNA, which we tested against several items certified as the King's, including blood-stained jeans.
Did you know Elvis? Yeah, I knew Elvis.
Nashville entertainer and friend Jimmy Velvet.
He threw a fit at Graceland one time because the car wouldn't start, and he jumped up on the hood and kicked his foot through the windshield.
The blood-stained DNA did not match Jesse, but then none of the so-called certified Elvis samples matched each other. And that's where our story ended. Until about 10 months ago when Eliza tracked us down. She had heard of our DNA tests and believed that at least one sample was from Elvis.
That was the original reason I ever tracked you down, was to test against that. I still didn't believe the whole scenario of the Jesse thing.
We sent our reports to the Paleo DNA laboratory. They determined Eliza did not match the genes, but say she did match Jesse's DNA, except not as father-daughter.
He's not your father. It seems like he's your half-brother. And I went, he's my what?
A random man who claimed he was Elvis and gave us his DNA matched Eliza as her half-brother. And he matched both sides of Elvis's family tree.
Well, how the hell does that happen that somebody you've never laid eyes on, that you didn't believe existed, is now your sibling?
Do you believe that Jesse is Elvis?
He has to be. There's no two ways about it. You can't fake the DNA.
But what does the DNA really mean? We asked forensic scientist Tony Tambasco, who handled the original DNA testing for us.
It does look like wow.
Tony tried to review the numbers like a criminal case, but
generally we don't deal with siblings and or cousins.
in criminal cases, it's first-person irrefutable DNA beyond a reasonable doubt. But Tony says this type of testing is different.
The likelihood ratio, it assumes to begin with that there is a relationship, and then it compares that to the general population.
And Tony says, although there is DNA in common, many unrelated people can share common DNA markers. He says the only absolute way to know is...
Priscilla's still alive. Lisa Marie's alive. You could compare that easily, and the issue could easily be resolved.
But Eliza is so confident that Elvis's dad, Vernon, is also her father, she changed her name to Presley and took Elvis Presley Enterprises to court.
Don't cry, Daddy.
Many people have tried to sue Elvis Presley Enterprises over the years, usually a self-proclaimed love child. This case is different for a number of reasons. For starters, it's the first time someone has claimed they're Elvis's half-sister. And more importantly, it's the first time the courts have reopened the estate.
Obviously, we would have preferred that she not reopening it, but those are matters that we'll address in court.
Attorney William Bradley represents EPE. He says the case is very upsetting to the family. And as for Elvis being alive...
Our position is that that's just nonsense.
I'm all shook up. But the case sure has tongues wagging in Memphis. Probate court clerk Chris Thomas says,
a lot of people have been surprised and curious as to what's there. All the money's been distributed. There's nothing left for this young lady to get monetarily.
But Eliza says she's not after money.
I think it would be such a travesty that he really does die, and I never even get to meet him.
Now, many people wonder, and I'm sure you do too, why won't Lisa Marie just give the DNA and settle this once and for all? But Elvis Presley Enterprises says there are so many false claims against them. If they do it for one, they would have to do it for all. Eliza's attorney, however, says this case will most likely be dismissed in probate court where it began, and then it will be filed in Chancery Court. And right now it is working its way through the court system.
But it's a big deal to have it reopened, right?
It's huge. It really is, because they have been sued so many times. This is the first time that they have ever reopened the estate. The judges found enough evidence to reopen the estate. Where it goes from there, we'll be watching very closely.
And again, no money, but she has, who's my father, who's my family,
right.
Am I related, and I'm lost in all this.
Absolutely. And when she first began looking for her father, again, she wasn't looking for Elvis Presley. She was looking for, just her father. She was a little girl who was given up for adoption trying to find her birth parents. So she really wasn't looking for Elvis, but in her search, it led her to Graceland.
Fascinating.
It is fascinating.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Melissa Scheffler. Merle has the night off.
I'm Steve Dawson. The case of a woman claiming to be Elvis's half-sister will move forward in the courts. The estate of Elvis Presley's father has been reopened. Now, this comes after a petition filed by a woman claiming to be Vernon Presley's love child, which would make her Elvis Presley's half-sister. Fox 13's Lauren Lee joins us here in the studio. There's more on this perplexing legal affair. Lauren?
That's right, Steve. The petitioner says she has DNA evidence to prove she is the daughter of Vernon Presley. She says a DNA sample of Elvis's proves that she is the King's half-sister. And she says she got the sample from Elvis himself. This is Eliza Presley. The Washington state resident is in Memphis to prove she is the daughter of Vernon Presley, the half-sister to Elvis Presley. Eliza and her attorney appeared in probate court Wednesday.
Our facts came out strongly, and we simply want a day for her to be heard when all of the proof can come out.
Eliza Presley, who recently changed her name from Alice Tiffin, did not speak on camera but made her case in open court. She says she supplied Elvis's DNA to the firm DNA Consulting, and the results prove she is Elvis's half-sister. She says she got the DNA evidence from Jesse Presley. She says Jesse Presley is the assumed name of Elvis Presley. So her claim is Elvis himself licked an envelope and sent it her way. She says DNA Consulting processed the sample this summer, even comparing it to DNA from some of Elvis's first cousins.
And they've been tested and retested by various labs, and the proof is conclusive that her allegations are correct.
Eliza says her quest to find her father started when she found out she was adopted. She says her birth mother lived across the street from Graceland and says she spent time with the Presley family as a teenager. But she says her mother denies Vernon Presley, 25 years her senior, is the father. The attorney for Elvis Presley Enterprises was speechless when asked about the claim that Elvis lives under the assumed name Jesse, and surprised the judge reopened Vernon's estate.
We've only had to come into court on two, but we've had at least at least a dozen people claim that they are primarily children of Elvis. This is the first child of Vernon that we've had.
Probate court judge Karen Webster said by reopening the estate, she was not ruling on the paternity or heirship, but her ruling does allow the case to go forward.
I don't understand what the purpose is going to be. We're going to have a reopened estate, but she's not going to determine heirship, and there's no money.
Eliza said she just wants to be acknowledged by the Presley family. Eliza Presley's attorney says reopening the estate allows her to issue summons to parties connected to Vernon Presley's estate. Elvis Presley Enterprises attorney says she has no case because of statute of limitations and adoption laws. The next hearing has not been scheduled. And I just got off the phone with the DNA specialist out of Arizona. He says he believes Eliza is Elvis's half-sister and that Elvis is still alive. He says the proof is there. DNA evidence doesn't lie. In the studio, Lauren Lee, Fox 13 News.